Scientists have lately made incredible findings from a hindered place deep beneath the magnificent Grand Canyon. So, are you prepared to discover the hidden secrets? From prehistoric creature footprints to the unexplained great unconformity, stay with us until the end of this exciting adventure into the heart of the Grand Canyon. Mogollon Monster. The Mogollon Monster, known as the Arizona Bigfoot, is an alleged creature that is said to inhabit the central and eastern regions of Arizona along the Mogollon Rim. It is described as an ape-like being resembling Bigfoot, standing over 7 feet tall with large red eyes. Its body is reportedly covered in long black or reddish-brown hair, except for the chest, hands, feet, and face. According to reports, the creature emits a strong and unpleasant odor resembling a mix of dead fish, a skunk with bad body odor, decaying peat moss, and the musk of a snapping turtle. Anecdotal accounts suggest that the creature is nocturnal, omnivorous, territorial, and occasionally aggressive. It's said to have an inhuman gait, leaving footprints measuring about 560 millimeters. The Mogollon Monster is believed to mimic the sounds of birds, coyotes, and other wildlife, emit unusual whistle sounds, explore campsites at night, construct nests out of pine needles, twigs, and leaves, and throw stones from concealed locations. There are also claims that the creature decapitates deer and other animals before consuming them. Witnesses have described its screams as blood-curdling and resembling a distressed woman. Prior to encounters, there is often an eerie silence in the surrounding woods, similar to the stillness observed near predatory animals. Reported sightings of the Mogollon Monster stretch along Arizona's Mogollon Rim, from Prescott to Williams in the north, Alpine in the southeast, Clifton in the south, and back to Prescott in the northwest. The oldest documented sighting dates back to 1903 when I.W. Stevens reported seeing a creature near the Grand Canyon. According to his account, the creature had long white hair and a matted beard and reached its knees. It was naked and had claw-like fingers. Stevens claimed that he witnessed the creature drinking the blood of 2 cougars and was subsequently threatened by it, accompanied by a chilling scream. Cryptozoologist Don Davis shared his encounter from the mid-1940s during a Boy Scout trip near Payson, Arizona. He described the creature as massive, with deep-set and expressionless eyes, a mostly hairless face except for the sides, and a square-shaped head with a squared chin. Marjorie Grimes, a resident of White River, Arizona, reported multiple sightings of the creature between 1982 and 2004, describing it as tall, black, and walking with long strides. Numerous individuals of the Fort Apache Indian Reservation have also claimed to have encountered the creature. Great Unconformity. In the depths of the Grand Canyon, a perplexing enigma known as the Great Unconformity has confounded the scientific community for nearly 150 years. This geological phenomenon involves the inexplicable absence of rocks dating back a staggering 1 billion years. The University of Colorado Boulder's geologist Barrow Peak likened the majestic red bluffs and cliffs on the Grand Canyon to a textbook chronicling Earth's history. Scaling down the rock faces reveals a journey through almost 2 billion years of the planet's past. However, within this textbook lies a puzzling absence. In certain areas, over 1 billion years' worth of rocks have vanished from the Grand Canyon without a trace. In a recent study led by Barrow Peak, researchers have uncovered a probable explanation for the missing rocks. They attribute the loss to the fracturing of Earth's ancient supercontinent Rodinia approximately 700 million years ago. The cataclysmic event was so violent that it likely washed away rocks and sediment into the ocean, accounting for the disappearance of 1 billion years' worth of geological records within the Grand Canyon. The Great Unconformity was first observed by John Wesley Powell during his iconic boat expedition in 1869 along the Colorado River, which carved the remarkable Grand Canyon. It remains one of the earliest and most well-documented perplexing geological features in North America. Following in Powell's footsteps, Barrow Peak and her team embarked on a similar expedition in the spring of 2021. They were greeted by the same striking demarcation between rock layers visible from the river. At specific locations along the canyon, they discovered rocks dating back to 1.4 to 1.8 billion years, lying beneath significantly younger rocks that are 520 million years old. Barrow Peak describes the distinct boundary, stating, "There are beautiful lines. They are layers of vertical, then there's a cutoff, and above that you have these beautiful horizontal layers that form the butters and peaks that you associate with the Grand Canyon." To delve deeper into the geological history of the Grand Canyon, Peak and her team employed a method called thermochronology. This technique enabled them to trace the heating history of rocks, providing insight into the canyon's distant past. When rocks are buried deep underground, the intense pressure from above causes them to heat up. This process leaves behind mineral footprints in the rock, revealing valuable clues about the rock's thermal history. By analyzing rock samples from various locations within the Grand Canyon, Peake and her team discovered that the story of the Great Unconformity is more complex than previously believed. They propose that the eastern and western halves of the canyon experienced different geological transformations over time. Peake explains, "It's not a single block with the same temperature history. According to the researchers, a series of minor faulting events occurred when Rodinia, the precursor to the renowned supercontinent Pangaea, broke apart approximately 700 million years ago. These violent disruptions likely caused the tearing up of land around the canyon, leading to the erosion and washing away of rocks and sediment into the ocean. While the basement rock in the western half of the Grand Canyon appears to have risen to the surface around 700 million years ago, the same rock formation in the eastern half remains buried under kilometers of sediment. The researchers hypothesized that the upheaval might have affected the eastern and western halves of the Grand Canyon differently at slightly different times, ultimately giving rise to the Great Unconformity. The team's findings not only shed light on the events that unfolded during this crucial period in the Grand Canyon's history, but also provide insights into other locations across North America that have experienced similar periods of lost time. Fossilized footprints. About 313 million years ago, a big animal that looked like a lizard climbed up a beach dune in the area that's now the Grand Canyon. After a while, a light dew fell on the tracks, making them stick together. Then, wind-blown sand covered them, burying them and keeping the animals hooked to marks there for a very long time. Paleontologists who looked at the path say that the tracks are the oldest animal tracks ever found in Grand Canyon National Park. This set of tracks and another set made a little later was made by tetrapods, which are animals with 4 legs. After some sand got into the first set of tracks, the second set was made, and experts said that the footprints could be from the same species. These current reptiles as relatives lived in the sand 250 million years before T-Rex. They would have had a very advanced way of walking. Alan Krill, a Norwegian geology professor, first found the tracks in 2016 while taking his students on a yearly field trip to the Grand Canyon along Bright Angel Trail. On the path, he saw fossilized tracks carved into a fallen rock at the bottom of a gorge. Krill took pictures of the prints and sent them to Steve Rowland, who was a geologist and often went on trips with the Norwegian group. Rowland and his team figured out that the track-bearing rock fell from a nearby cliff exposure of the Mauna Kea Formation. They said that we were able to figure out that it came from the area by looking at the rock's color and size of its grains. Researchers were also able to date the tracks by finding out where the rock came from. The size of the tracks suggests that the animals were about the same size as a chuckwalla today, which is about 15 to 30 inches long. When Rowland's team looked at the tracks, they were surprised to find 2 things. The first is that they're the oldest known amniotes living in sand dunes. Amniotes are animals which have eggs that can live outside of water, like birds or snakes. Fish and frogs, which have been around longer, have to lay their eggs in water. The fact that amniote tracks were found in what used to be a coastal dune shows that these reptiles' ancestors moved to land almost as soon as they did, Rowland said. Rowland told Live Science that the second thing that surprised him was how the footprints were set up. Rowland said that the sequence is more steady than the other type of known gait, which is called the diagonal sequence gait. People do this type of diagonal action by moving their left arm forward at the same time as their right leg and vice versa. When their fins move, fish also move in a diagonal order. Both types of walking can be used by animals with 4 legs, Rowland said. Before we looked at these tracks, no one knew how long ago animals started using the lateral sequence walk. We now know that it was used very early in the history of amniotes, 330 million years ago. Spencer Lucas, a geologist at the New Mexico Museum of Natural History, who was not involved in the study, praised the work. He said that the current study documents an important discovery, the oldest record of tetrapod vertebrates' footprints in an Aeolian rock layer. It proves that vertebrates lived in deserts millions of years before what was thought before. The Grand Canyon continues to attract scientists and travelers alike with its mysterious beauty and hidden riches. As ongoing study pushes the limits of what we know, we are amazed by the fossilized footprints of old creatures that show how they changed over time. If you're also interested in stories about lost riches and old artifacts, don't miss the chance to learn more about the secrets of the Grand Canyon. Hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you never miss an update of our exploration videos.